Hi, and welcome to the CRIISP Alumni Series, where we will be interviewing founders who have been through the experience of raising venture capital, from seed angel rounds through Series A and beyond. I'm here today with Andrew Just, CEO of Opuz. Thank you for joining me today, Andrew.
Hi, Rhythm. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you. So, just to start things off for our audience watching this, can you provide us with an introduction to Opuz?
Yes, absolutely. So Opus is a pre-revenue startup developing a wearable ring that uses artificial intelligence to continuously measure blood sugar levels. This is game-changing technology for diabetes globally.
Definitely. And can you let us know, going into a bit more detail about your journey? So, how much capital are you currently raising, and how far along are you in closing your current round?
Yes, sure. So with the current round, we've raised around 700,000 to date. So that's been going very well, and we have a target of $2 million plus. So we're almost halfway in the current round towards raising what we need.
That's brilliant. That's great. And of course, we know that the market demand of your product is very high. So if you could just share with us a little bit going into the history of what actually prompted you to address this problem.
Yes, well, I think if anyone knows someone that has type 2 diabetes or is
Mhm.
interested in their blood sugar, they're aware of what a painful and inconvenient process it is to monitor your blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
Usually it involves a finger prick test. So you get a lancet, you puncture your finger, you get a drop of blood out, and you put that on a strip, you put that into a meter, and you get a result. So this is not so easy to do. It's not so comfortable. It's not so convenient. And that really leads to all of these people not doing it as often as they need to do it in order to manage their condition. So it's really a big blocker to effectively managing diabetes. So what we really are aiming to do is just make life a lot easier for these people, to really provide them with a monitoring solution that's almost needless for any activity. It automatically does it in the background. There's no pain, there's no action required. So once we've delivered that, then we've got an ability to really help them with what next. So when they can manage their condition, they live better lives, they feel better, and they have a much more pleasant experience than they do today. So it's really coupling that basic monitoring ability, making that pain-free, and then coupling that with artificial intelligence algorithms and provision on a mobile app to really connect them with the people and products that they need to be connected with easily in order to live better lives. So there's really a lot to it. It's a huge problem. There's 500 million people in the world with diabetes or pre-diabetes. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would know someone that has this. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, on that, even my father suffers from it, which is why that this is something that I would definitely be offering him as well, because we understand the market need for it. Now, just I would love to know about what are your next milestones moving forward. So, where do you see yourself in the next 6 months? What can we expect out of Opus?
Yes, so the next 6 months for our milestones, we're completing the miniaturization of the monitor. So our first prototype monitor we used in a clinical study. That was very successful. That study's actually just been published in an international journal. So very happy with that. But now we need to take that early prototype and put it into a smaller form. So that's progressing really well. And we think the next 6 months, we will have completed that, and we'll make around 100, 150 of them and put them on people for a data validation. So that's the key. That's the key hardware technology milestone in the next 6 months. And then from a software perspective, we're working on building out the AI algorithms and also the mobile app, the first mobile app that will be used. So I think the 6 month milestones are really, from a hardware perspective, around putting 100 rings on people's fingers, and then from a software perspective to having that mobile app built that really provides the result, but also provides the ability to connect with other providers.
Wow, that's brilliant. I'm really looking forward to seeing your journey ahead. Now, talking about that, being a founder yourself, you understand that the journey of raising venture capital, it comes with its challenges. You need to be patient, and of course, you need to understand that it takes a lot of hard work. There are a lot of emotions that you feel during the process. So, what if you could share with our viewers, what was your process of raising capital?
Yes, sure. So pretty much all of this year, 2021, has been full-time fundraising for me, with a very steep learning curve on raising capital. So it has been a lot of lessons learned through the year. And I think overall it's really been a much slower process than I first envisaged. So definitely there was a lot, or there is a lot to learn. And it definitely takes a lot more time than I thought it would.
That's certainly true. So, during this process, like, of course, we understand that, COVID came and the situation was not idle. So, of course, there would have been many hurdles that you had to overcome. So, were there any, during the process, any lessons that you learned that you can share with our audience watching this interview today?
Yes, absolutely. So as you say, COVID it has been a hurdle in itself. And I think the biggest issue with that is not being able to have face-to-face meetings, which is really, really important for people investing in startups to get a sense of the team and the people. So much harder to do over Zoom versus in person. So I think that definitely is a factor to draw out the length of the process of capital raising. So I really look forward to the days where it's much easier to get in front of investors and talk to them and explain the story and the team much more clearly. But having said that, it's still been amazing to see how adaptive everyone's become with using online. So really everything's been online, and it's worked pretty well, just a bit more slowly than I think traditionally. But definitely, I think the main hurdle, really, from a process perspective, is finding the right profile of investor for our opportunity and developing a value proposition to clarify for those particular investors what we have. So along the way, it's really, I learned it's really critical to succinctly tell the story, so it's quickly clear why we have something valuable and why we are a team who can deliver it successfully. For pre-revenue opportunities like ours, the risk-reward trade-off is a lot bigger. So finding the right profile investor is absolutely key. The conservative investors, not such a good fit. We're really more suited to those investors who are aiming for really outsized returns on their investment. So it does take some time. If there's 1,000 investors, not all of them are actually the right fit for your specific opportunity, I found.
Definitely, that's absolutely correct. So, in your process of when you do the due diligence, so what is the right investor according to you? What characteristics of them that stand out?
Yeah, so I think the right investor for us, for our particular opportunity, and not everyone's the same, is really more of an individual investor, not so much a fund, and that's because we're pre-revenue. So the funds often de-risk a lot in terms of seed investment. So the individual investor who is happy and comfortable with the risk and the much higher reward that comes from a pre-revenue opportunity. And also, it's definitely helped where those individuals or those very small groups that are looking at us have been somewhat familiar with the space. So medtech's really exciting. Everyone's interested, but not everyone actually has a knowledge of medical technology opportunities. So the ones that were already familiar quickly understood our value, and that was a much faster path to achieving fit. There's quite a few investors that are really interested in medtech, but they don't know much about it. So for those investors, it's not such a great profile, because for them, being unfamiliar with medtech, they want a much safer opportunity. So they would look at a post-revenue business, not us. So I think for us, that profile looks like mostly individuals or very small groups familiar with medtech and comfortable with pre-revenue that has a quick path to market.
Completely understand that, and of course that's I believe other founders watching this interview would definitely agree to that, because they would feel exactly the same way as you're currently feeling. Now, talking about your journey with Wholesale Investor, you have been with us for over 9 months now, and we have worked with you on multiple campaign items. And I know personally that the dedicated email campaign that was done for yourself worked quite well. So can you share your experience with that?
Yes, absolutely. It's been a very positive experience. I think first actually with yourself, Rhythm, as account manager. So thank you for starting me off. That was really good. And then the dedicated email campaign, it was just fantastic to work with Mike Kulikov. So Mike was really great in helping us tune the campaign for more effect. And I think the preparation, delivery, follow-up activities were very impressive. So I would recommend the dedicated email campaign to any company, as it really helps cut through to the more interested parties.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. So, talking about now with the leads that registered interest in your opportunity, what was your due diligence process with each investor?
Due diligence was usually a few emails kicking it off, and then a few phone calls to really better understand who they were and what their investor profile and appetite looked like. So definitely it takes a fair bit of time with each opportunity, usually it's a combination of both emails and phone calls.
Right, definitely. And how many conversations you had before getting your first investment?
Around 250. So
Oh,
definitely
wow.
it was a higher number than I thought until we got our first. But the first one's the hardest.
Oh, wow. So that definitely means you have to be very patient. And I think founders are the most patient in our space. Okay, so can you also share with us, because you mentioned that you've spoken to over 200 investors. So in your opinion, any top three reasons why an investor would say no to you?
Yes, I think, and someone once told me early on that this is what they call a no business. So the investors are in the business of saying no. They say no a lot more than they say yes. So I think it's necessary just to get comfortable with that and understand, that that's sort of the probability. The reasons why for us specifically people would say no or said no is, firstly, we're just not the right fit for them. So usually for us, that was because we're pre-revenue, and so there's a higher risk-reward profile. The second reason would be, for many people who said no, it was the first time they were looking to invest in our industry in medtech. So that meant the market was unfamiliar to them, and so their appetite for risk was a lot lower. And then the third reason was really skepticism that we can deliver on the technology, because it's such a big global problem that has yet to be solved. So this group of people loved our concept, but said it was simply too good to be true. That's something I look forward to proving them wrong with.
Yes, definitely. And all the luck to you on that. Now, my next question would be around that, you closed off an investor. So, any advice that you can share with our audience on that?
Yes, absolutely. You end up with a lot of leads. Closing is really important to focus on. I would say be factual and open in your conversations. Take the time to ask them questions and be transparent in both the opportunities and the risks that you have. And finally, I would say be straightforward about asking them if they're going to invest.
Definitely. That's really good advice. And with the other investors that, let's say, did not end up investing in your opportunity at the moment, how are you keeping in touch with them?
Yes, so that's a regular but not as frequent email update. So just a progress update on how we're going. I think some people are sort of spectating on the sidelines, and we've had some people that were sitting there for about 6 months and then decided to become interested again. So definitely it's important to keep them in the loop. Some of them don't want to be kept in the loop, and they let you know, that's fine. And then for the ones that have actually invested, it's also an email update on progress, but with a bit more detail and a bit more regular. And then there's some more active investors that have actually come in, and for those who are a bit more closely involved, then phone calls as well. There's
Definitely.
quite a lot of time involved.
That's so true. And that is exactly the advice that we provide to the founders on our platform as well. That an investor you might not be able to close an investor right now, but if you build a relationship with them, you never know, they might end up investing in your opportunity a couple of months later. And that is what Steve suggests to all our founders, and keep building a relationship with them, because it's all about these conversations that you have that may turn out to be an investment in the end. Now, just before we close off this interview, Andrew, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give to our founders watching this interview?
I think prepare for a longer journey than you first expect. Persistence pays off, and there's definitely capital waiting for a home with you, but you'll have to work hard to get it.
Definitely. That's really good advice. And thanks again, Andrew, for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on board and sharing your insights. And I'm sure that our viewers who are watching this interview are definitely going to get good experience out of this. So thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Rhythm.
Thank you.